Mike Ryan's wife, Cynthia, at the hockey game the other day, saw Wayne Gretzky, but she thought he was whom, Mike?
Maury Povich.
Totally fair.
Is it totally fair? Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Is it totally fair that Mike's wife thought the great one was Maury Povich? Upon seeing him, I don't think that's totally fair. I think that's disrespectful and ignorant.
So this is the second time my wife has had no idea who Wayne Gretzky is. There was another game that we actually attended. I think it was Game 4 of the Boston Bruins series, where my daughter, my wife, and I found this club level elevator, and we were the only ones waiting for it. And the great one strolled in, and Cynthia was doing something with my daughter. I'm like, I don't get starstruck often. But around Wayne Gretzky, his nickname is literally the Great One. He's not just the greatest hockey player ever. He's the greatest hockey player by a wide margin. You're in the presence of somebody. Like, the temperature changed when Wayne Gretzky walked into the room. So I wanted my wife to realize it. She had no idea, couldn't care less. And so she, I guess, didn't remember that what for me was a very memorable experience. 2 series later, she sees the TNT pregame show, which I should mention is outstanding.
Excellent.
It's the best American hockey coverage I've ever seen. She's watching it, and she asked me why Maury Povich is on the dais.
Maury's pretty great.
It's not fair, though.
I've been to a taping of Maury.
What?
Yeah.
Not the father, right? That's what it was?
It was a paternity test one, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you rooting for when you watch those, Jessica?
I have no idea, truly. You're just kind of rooting for the drama. You're not sure what's even
like
really real or not.
I mean, to me, it's like a sporting event that I don't have a bunch of teams that I'm a fan of because, I played sports. So, I just kind of watch the game. And then towards the end, I figure out who I'm rooting for. You know, something in the course of the game happens, and I'm like, oh, damn, I'm rooting for this team. And I feel like the same thing happens when I'm watching Maury, or back when I used to watch Maury. It's like, by the end, I'm like, come on.
This person can't be a father.
Yes,
this person
yes,
can't be a
he's
father.
not the father. Or sometimes I'm rooting, especially when the guy wants to be the dad. It's really crushing when he's not
the whole
dad.
thing is bizarre. We went as a group when I worked at SB Nation. Ryan Nanny, co-host of the Shutdown Fullcast,
What a great
took us
team bonding exercise.
as a present at the beginning of the summer, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was like a little gift to the crew, I guess, because actually one of our coworkers who grew up in China was obsessed with Maury and the Maury Show, and he was living in the United States and had never, we were only 45 minutes away from Stamford, Connecticut, so it was like a special treat, oh my gosh, we have to take him. You know, how unique and interesting. He grew up in another place and really loves the show. Let's do it as a treat. So then we all went, and so we took a bus to Stamford from our office. And Maury's actually, because his father was a very famous Washington Post sports journalist. So Maury grew up loving sports, somehow found himself hosting the Maury Show, but he was really excited to have us there. So we got to sit in the front 2 rows of the taping, and he was so thrilled. There was a sports group there, and he announced it to the entire audience, we're so happy to have all of these fine people from SB Nation here, and the whole audience was like, who? It was really funny.
He is a dorky sports fan because of all the reasons you mentioned. His father was a legendary sports writer. I don't know what he would have made of the Baby Gronk phenomenon, because I don't understand what was trending this weekend.
Livvy rizzed up Baby Gronk.
All I saw this weekend was media members outing the theater dad of Baby Gronk, but I don't know why Baby Gronk is famous. Is it just a kid that's good at football?
Well, Livvy rizzed him up, so he was trending. And so, as it turns out, maybe not so great of a story behind all of this, but Livvy rizzed up Baby Gronk a couple weeks ago, and then people found out Baby Gronk has hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, but he is actually a 10-year-old boy who visits different college campuses and does different camps and things like that. And so he has pictures with a lot of college football coaches, and his dad is actually trying to get him internet famous, I guess you could say. So after Livvy rizzed up Baby Gronk, Baby Gronk's dad did an interview with The Athletic that actually I think kind of made the story a little less funny because in one hand it was like, oh, people were making fun of a TikTok video that was kind of silly and stupid where Livvy rizzed up Baby Gronk and he became the Riz God. But then it was like, oh, like maybe Baby Gronk is actually just a 10-year-old boy who seems like is being kind of, his image
exploited.
Yeah. It was a little problematic. Like I didn't love the interview. It was kind of also presented without comment. Like they were just interviewing the dad, and the dad was saying like pretty explicitly, like even if his son doesn't end up being good at football, at least he'll be rich, which kind of feels like a little sad, like late stage capitalism-y, because it's like, okay, well, if anything happens to your kid, at least they made money off of something they couldn't really consent to do when they were 10. But also, like, maybe you shouldn't really need all of that money as an emergency in case, like, your kid gets sick when they're an adult. Like, it's a little depressing when you think about it that way. So, unfortunately, I think Livvy rizzing up Baby Gronk had an unhappy ending.
I was just going to ask you, what was in it for Livvy, and do you think Livvy regrets rizzing up Baby Gronk?
I'm not sure, actually. I would love to know what Livvy thinks about rizzing up Baby Gronk. I don't know if anyone really anticipated it.
Because Livvy doesn't need it. Livvy on her own has such a big following. She has more of a following than Baby Gronk does.
Huge following.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it was a pretty incredible mashup, like crossover opportunity for Livvy and Baby Gronk because you're kind of melding these two fan bases together when Livvy rizzed up Baby Gronk. Yeah.
The ugly side of parents manipulating and exploiting their kids can be turned into great mythology when you win. And I can read stories about Jamal Murray's dad putting hot teacups on his knees and making him squat for a long time with hot teacups. Under one set of circumstances, that seems like parental abuse to me. But if you go up 3-1 in the finals, it is good parenting that makes your son
a little tough love,
a champion.
It's still abuse.
I am made.
No, wait, what?
It is, of course, abuse, but it is being framed. Jamal Murray had 12 assists and no turnovers in the last game, and all of a sudden I'm reading the stories about how when he was a kid, he'd have to get in a squatting position, and his father was making him tougher by putting hot teacups on his knees and making sure that nothing spilled as he stayed in the squat for a long period of time as a child. It is abuse, but we can
abuse if you're down 3-1.
If it's abuse if you're down 3-1, it is championship medal if you're up 3-1.
Can he do the sabam? Like now?
How have we arrived at a place of capitalism and greed
where Livvy's rizzing Baby Gronk?
I don't know, Dan.
Do you guys have anything else other than that, Billy? Do you have anything else? Can you give me one other item on that other than that one move, that one trick pony move? Do you have another item on this that you can give me? Can I squeeze it out of you?
Well, I'm actually wondering if this is going to backfire on Livvy, because Livvy didn't need to do that. Now she's kind of exposed Baby Gronk, and now how is Livvy going to be viewed? Is she going to be complicit to all of this?
I don't think this blows up on Livvy. If anything, I think it's kind of exposed Baby Gronk's father, who's been apparently, as you mentioned earlier, you kind of referenced this, Dan, he's been DMing a lot of like media people to get Baby Gronk more media attention and media appearances. And like, I should say, this isn't anything that new when it comes to young children who are really phenomenal at sports kind of being put through this system. I think what's unique is that like this kid is super young. He's like apparently he's 10 years old. He's apparently like really big and like really strong for his age group and things like that. And it happens with stage moms. We've seen dance moms. We've seen like all these shows, all of these pageant parents, all these things. Like this happens all the time, right? It's just like what happens now in 2023 and has been happening for a while is like something silly happens, like Livvy rizzing up Baby Gronk, and then you peel back a couple more layers and you're like, I kind of feel bad for Baby Gronk. He's like 10-year-old kid. This is kind of weird now.
Has Livvy rizzed up anyone else?
That's a good question. She rizzes up Viore a lot.
Yeah.
That's one of her main brand sponsors. Yeah.
Here's the thing that I don't understand about the whole Baby Gronk phenomenon, right? Is that I believe he has a college offer already, but like he's 10 years old, and respectfully or disrespectfully to Mr. Baby Gronk, look at him. Does it look like Baby Gronk is going to grow into be some sort of football specimen?
I mean,
does Baby Gronk have tattoos?
Yeah, apparently Baby Gronk also has like a fake tattoo sleeve to make him. I don't. The whole thing.
I'm looking at the picture here, and he's got 2 half sleeves of like I don't know what it is, but it looks like tattoos.
I read that they are fake.
Huh.
It is what is real is the terrible parenting. Nothing fake about that.
You said it.
Stugotz,
Odd times, man.
I want to ask you about what is happening with the Jets. You've got Aaron Rodgers saying this has been the most fun 6 weeks he's had in a long time. He's saying that Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner will soon be the best at their position. And Robert Saleh, the Jets coach, is saying, I don't want to be on Hard Knocks.
Sauce is already kind of the best at his position, I think. He's certainly in the top 5. What he's saying about Garrett Wilson is, I will make him the best wide receiver or one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And, of course, he's having a good time. He has things to do, Dan. There are things to do in New York after he's done playing football. He is no longer living 30 minutes outside of Kenosha, Wisconsin. I mean,
Garrett Wilson stood out last year without a quarterback, so I think it's a distinct possibility that he could be one of the best receivers. Picking out one single best receiver is kind of hard to do. You're so dependent on other things. But, yeah, he's good enough to be there. Sauce, like you mentioned, is among the best corners in football. Another thing is hard to measure is who's the best corner. But I think Aaron Rodgers is not being hyperbolic when he's saying that both of them have a chance to be that. And, yeah, of course he's going to be at the off-season program when he can go to Carbone afterwards.
But what's up with the coach of the Jets being afraid of the distraction of Hard Knocks? Like, this is, once you inherit this quarterback, you're bringing all of the expectations with you. Welcome them. Don't shrink from them.
No, I mean, the goal of Robert Saleh is to save his job and to win. The goal of Hard Knocks and anybody who is on Hard Knocks is to entertain. So like, that's normally something that the owner wants to lift the profile of the team, or something that the marketing department wants, or I don't know, the sponsors would love you to be on Hard Knocks. The coach wants everybody the hell out of the way. He just wants to play football.
sounds to me, Dan, like he's risen everyone up.
Kenosha's 3 hours away from Green Bay.
I don't care. I mean, there's no sun
It's not 30 minutes.
anywhere in that state.
Kenosha comedically lands every time.
Learn your
Appleton.
Wisconsin geography, though, please.
I think we stayed in Appleton when we played out there. That
We have
works, too.
We have a quarterback, Dan.
A quarterback that the coach doesn't want on Hard Knocks because he's afraid of the expectations 4 months before the season. Is he not aware of what Aaron Rodgers brings with him? She's the host of the podcast Fast Politics. She's a special correspondent for Vanity Fair. That's where you can get her weekly newsletter. Molly Jong-Fast is with us. Again, thank you for joining us, Molly. A few blocks from here, tomorrow, I'm expecting some form of chaos. What are you expecting at the federal courthouse tomorrow, given where the rhetoric is already landing?
I mean, I hope nothing, right? This is a crew that loves to threaten civil war whenever they don't get what they want. And I think that our government has gotten pretty good with security. So the hope is nothing. But again, you do live in an open carry state, which is a little bit scary. And certainly it's really important that, that people are aware that this is a time when Trump has really tried to incite violence.
The Proud Boys have encouraged their followers on Telegram to, quote, come out and bring a banner supporting Trump. You've got a Trump supporter in Congress calling this war and tweeting, quote, eye for an eye. You've got Trump's son's fiance posting in all caps that retribution is coming. And then you have this sound from Carrie Lake where she is basically threatening while saying she's not threatening.
If you want to get to President Trump, you're going to have to go through me. And you're going to have to go through 75 million Americans just like me.
I mean,
and I'm going to tell you, most of us are card-carrying members of the NRA. That's not a threat. That's a public service announcement.
Molly?
It's not good. It's very irresponsible. I mean, should we expect anything less from the woman who thinks she's actually governor of, Arizona, who considers herself to be governor of Arizona? I mean, these people are living in another world. But yeah, I mean, it's very irresponsible. And if something happens, it would just be absolutely terrible. And this is the kind of rhetoric we saw before January 6th. Look, it's bad. This is not how it's supposed to go. And, you know, you see other countries where they have corrupt leaders. Scotland is a great example. We saw this with Sarkozy in France. They are able to jail corrupt leaders and period, paragraph, that's it. But what's happening here is that the MAGA crew has decided that holding Trump responsible for anything is somehow an affront to them and their political movement.
Good idea or bad idea to send a Meadowlark correspondent out to the proceedings to cover it?
Probably okay. I mean, depends on how much you like that correspondent. Probably safe, but if it's someone you don't like, I mean, I might suggest if they owe you money or something. You know, no.
What if it's me and I'm only asking questions about the Florida Panthers' third line?
Yeah, then I think you're fine. As long as you're wearing like a full body armor and also a MAGA hat, you should be okay.
Noted. Have both in my car, apparently.
Great.
How is this rhetoric any different than what led up to January 6th?
It's not. I mean, it's not. I mean, the only difference is January 6th, you had all of these members of Congress in their offices. So it was very much a sitting target in this situation. You have a red state courthouse. I mean, the judge is as close to a Trump supporter. Eileen Cannon is as close to a Trump supporter as you can get. So I don't know that Proud Boys want to hurt a MAGA judge. You know, she's the woman who put in place the special master, which delayed this trial 4 months, or this indictment 4 months.
Were you surprised that Bill Barr went on Fox television yesterday and said if half of this indictment is true, Trump is toast?
No, because Bill Barr is like on the Bill Barr, trying to get some people to like him again tour. And he has been critical of Trump. I mean, would he work in another Trump administration? Probably. I mean, you know, this is like Chris Christie. These guys are very critical, except when they're not, except when they're trying to get jobs. So Bill Barr, you know, he's charged with it's 37 counts, this federal indictment. You know, I don't know, 20 fall under the Espionage Act. I mean, any other person would end up in jail, but Trump is not any other person.
I'm going to be on a very similar tour after these finals wrap up. What was your main takeaway from, you know, when we'd heard about these documents, Trump had said they were in very secure places, and then naturally that meant a chandelier-laden bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, did you think, of course, they're like on the stage at Mar-a-Lago and you see pictures of people posing for photos in front of them. I mean, the guy lives in a country club that is open to the public where Chinese spies have been found. I mean, this is not going to be a secure location. I have questions about the chandelier in the bathroom. But they're not national security questions.
I have a lot of questions about that. Also, the height of the toilet. It appears that it's lower to the ground for leveraged pooping. Your thoughts?
I mean, again, a question I've never been asked, but you know, listen, Marjorie Merriweather Post, the previous owner of Mar-a-Lago, is rolling over in her grave right now.
Does this make him stronger or weaker with his base, Molly?
So my sense is, and this is the polling, and I've also talked to some people who are a little bit smarter than I am, who have said that they think this clenches the nomination with the base, but it grows the chasm between the base and the general electorate, right? You have people who will die for Trump, but you know what? Those people are not what Trump needs to win a general election. What he needs are soccer moms in Arizona, right? And people in Ohio. And I'm not sure the message like, don't be mean to our guy, is number one on their agendas for 24.
When are we going to see any of these Republican candidates have anything bad to say about Trump? The cowardice there is a bit surprising, even by reduced standards, to see that nobody is willing to say anything because they're afraid of losing his people. They want his people too,
right,
even if his people are running around carrying Nazi flags.
Right. So it's a Mobius strip of, am I allowed to curse on this show?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. It's a Mobius strip right? You have a base that is obsessed with Trump. You have elected Republicans who refuse to condemn Trump. The base takes this message and keeps going with it. And so at the end of the day, the Republicans they're the leopard eating face party. The leopards are now currently eating their faces.
You are a family friend of Eugene Carroll. This was a month ago. A jury found Trump liable for sexually abusing and defaming her. And now she might seek more damages because on that disastrous CNN town hall, he called her a whack job and called the trial rigged. Is what happened there in any way surprising to you, that it seems like it did no damage at all and that he is maximum Teflon?
I mean, again, right, this is the thing. He's been impeached twice. He's been indicted federally, locally. I mean, there's still this Georgia indictment that's going to come in August or in the end of July. No, I mean, the Republicans have, there's nothing that can touch him except losing, right? And he does keep losing. I mean, that is the good news. And right, we saw him lose in 2020. We saw him lose in 2018. We even saw him underdeliver for Republicans in the 2020 midterm. So the good news is that there are enough sane people in this country so that hopefully, in 24 he loses. But yeah, I mean, that it's just incredible. And in fact, he kind of, the jury found him liable for defamation, and then he just continued to defame. I mean, the man cannot learn a lesson. And maybe there's a number, maybe that Eugene gets some of this money and that stops Trump from defaming, but it's hard to imagine.
Can you tell me whether she's surprised at all that it's gone that way?
Yeah, I don't think she's surprised. I've actually interviewed her and Robbie Kaplan. I don't think she's surprised. I mean, first of all, Robbie Kaplan is a really good lawyer, right? She's really, really smart. She's argued in front of the Supreme Court. She does not mess around. She does not miss. And Trump is not someone who has good lawyers around him. I mean, in fact, Trump has not gotten away with things because he's so smart and so capable. He's gotten away with things because he's so lucky and because so many people are willing to vouch for him and so many Republicans are willing to die on that hill, metaphorically, not literally. But so I would say, that's why he's gotten away with so much stuff. So a good lawyer can take Trump to the cleaners. I mean, that's not a problem. And he is so malfeasant on so many levels that I'm not that surprised. And I don't think she is either.
What do you make of two of his attorneys immediately resigning when this indictment came down?
It's funny because I had George Conway on my podcast and he was saying, actually Trump may have a real problem getting lawyers. And I was like, that's hilarious. You can always find someone who will charge you $800 an hour. But the truth is that actually Trump needs lawyers that have security clearance to deal with all of these secure documents. And so actually he may have real trouble finding lawyers. He'll certainly find someone, but he can't use a parking lawyer, a traffic lawyer. He can't use a Lena Haba. He's going to have to use a real lawyer who knows national security. So it's going to slow him down for sure.
What kind of military advice do you think Kid Rock had, and will he get subpoenaed?
Good question. I mean, hard to know. Kid Rock is so known for his military advice, and he's quite a genius when it comes to that kind of thing, and he's planned many an invasion and war. So, I mean, Trump was just going to the best people, obviously.
Do you think he drops a ball with the bombs?
I think he does, obviously. I mean, there's no question. When I think about military wisdom, I go to Kid Rock.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. When you think about military wisdom, do you go to Kid Rock? Percentage of chance that Trump goes to jail before Election Day?
0. First of all, it's going to take forever. And, if Trump has Eileen Cannon is the closest to a MAGA judge you can have. She's been smacked down by the conservative 11th Circuit, but she's very likely to be the judge on this case. You're going to see a year of pretrial motions. It's going to take forever. I think he can still win the primary while this is going on. Whether or not he wins the general, again, is anybody's guess. I don't think he'll ever go to jail. I don't think there's a mechanism for the Secret Service sleeping in Otisburg. More likely scenario is they figure out some kind of house arrest deal. Or, as Trump often does, he gets off.
Molly, thank you for joining us. Appreciate the insight always.
Thanks for having me.
Dan's out. We can have some fun. No more Trump talk, because I did not want to do that. It made me sad.
We noticed.
I mean, it's just depressing all the time with that and the freaking courts and the judges, and nothing's going to happen. And this is the last time I get to be with you, Mike, because you're going down there tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going down there tomorrow. I'm literally
You're
walking
saying
down
goodbye
there.
to Mike?
Good luck, Mike. Bro. Good luck to you.
I'm not.
Is your will up to date?
I think I've said plenty of times that I'm not totally comfortable with this, and it's not,
a terrible idea.
Right.
Someone just
it's
step in and
not
say
mattering. And I'm hoping that there's like some media embargo that I can't just show up and people will like push me aside and protect me from myself.
I offered to go down there with you. I'm taking back the offer.
Yeah, you shouldn't go.
No, I was joking a little bit, but I kind of think that Stu would make everyone safer. If Stu was there, like I feel like Stu gives off, no disrespect, Stu, you give off a little vibe that says, I'm down with what you guys are down with.
Yeah.
So like Stu, if I go down there, clearly I'm giving off a vibe that I'm not down with they're down with.
Yeah, what
It's
do you mean?
Right.
I'm black, Mike.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I do think if Stu put his arm around me, like, he's with me, guys, and they would back off. They're like, oh, that guy, he's got a little scruffy beard, a trucker hat. He's a little older.
Right.
This
Except I'm Jewish. I mean,
they don't know that. Just
But you got
don't
the
say your
heater,
last
though.
name. Don't say your last name. Just you look like you want your country back.
so never reveal my religion. Don't tell them I'm Jewish. Light up a heater. Put my arm
Heater,
around
very
you, and you're
important.
going to be good.
Sunglasses
Okay.
The smoking is key. Is key. All right. So what are you guys going to take from this Heat season?
What I'm going to take from this Heat season is I really want – this is the first time in watching the Heat that I've wanted a title for a player more than the franchise, because I think
Haslam.
that's a good point. It's a good point. But no, I want this for the – I think that Jimmy Butler's story arc is so crazy when you consider his upbringing, and we don't have to get totally into it. It's grief eater porn. But he's done this as an 8 seed. This is his second finals in a Heat jersey. He's already getting to an age, and we'll reference, because we always have to, the Tibbs minutes that are on him. And I just don't know how he gets back to this spot. And even if he does, I don't know if he'll have a better situation going into it up against a Denver team that hasn't done it in the finals before. And I'm really bummed for him, because it would have been the perfect ending to a story arc. And maybe you can hit me with the "don't do it, I care about you." We've doubted the Heat before. You doubted the Heat before this playoff run as recently as 5 minutes left in that playing game with Chicago. But I think that this – Colin Cowherd had a tweet that at first angered me. But when he said culture has a ceiling, this is a pretty good ceiling.
Yeah.
But they definitely need more dudes.
Yeah, it's a good tweet. It's a good tweet. It's pretty
Yeah,
accurate. Culture does have a ceiling. Is there any way, I guess what I'm more trying to get at is, how are you going to feel about this season when it's over? Like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. If they win a championship, it's obvious how you're going to feel about it. Let's assume the unlikely scenario comes to pass where they do not win the championship and the Heat lose. This has felt like, even from a distance, it's felt like a pretty incredible run that like is pretty cool and you should be talking about, it should be proud of, up there with championship runs, in my opinion.
I think they're a runner-up, potentially. Now it's over, and Denver essentially has to finish the job, and we'll see how that goes. But it is a run that I think is going to be remembered forever, in that they remember the Knicks run because they were an 8 seed, even though it was lockout and wasn't your traditional 8 seed. This never happens in this sport. And recently the sport's shown us that maybe it's moved to in a direction of more parity, but you never see 8 seeds do this. You never see 8 seeds topple the 2 best win percentage teams on their way to this. And I do think for a runner-up, they'll get remembered more, just because when you talk about upsets in that league, they'll be the gold standard in the postseason. So that's encouraging, I guess, and we'll always have sad Bill Simmons.
How did this run impact, I guess, future plans for the Heat? Because when they were in the play-in game, it was like, this core is not going to cut it. We need to rebuild. And now it's like, oh, Damian Lillard might come, and that works with these pieces. So what do you do?
For me, it shows that Miami is a place where you can maximize your talents, I think some of these bad contracts have kind of played themselves into some value. You realize that the Caleb Martin contract is a really desirable piece, and you can stable it to maybe a bad contract. You wonder what you could do if you didn't have Kyle Lowry's salary on your books, because this team could get so much better. So maybe I am foolish for doubting that they can get back here. But getting back here with Jimmy Butler as the best player on the team, I don't necessarily see that path. I think that they've added value to their organization and can certainly improve on the team. Will they do that, though? Will they do the necessary things? Will they depart from Bam? I don't necessarily think so.
Lillard.
Lillard.
Yeah.
Lillard.
Lillard for a while.
I really hate that this is a postmortem. We're doing a postmortem.
No,
Not yet.
we're not.
Hold
No,
on.
no,
He was
no,
just
no,
talking
no,
about the
just-
year at a macro
yeah,
level.
just
That's
saying
all.
If they lose,
I
you're saying
wanna-
if they
yeah.
lose, right?
I think that they survived tonight, and
Me
I have
too.
just on blind faith, and that I think Jimmy Butler is going to do the things that he needs to do to keep the Heat in it.
Domonique, I would tell you, coming from a different perspective, because these guys are Heat fans. They grew up with the team. I'm a Knicks fan. They're lousy. They've been lousy forever, okay? Even in defeat, I would feel fortunate that I have an organization that could take Jimmy Butler as its best player and get to 2 NBA finals in 4 years and 3 conference finals in 4 years. I'd feel good about my coach. I'd feel great about the guy running the entire organization. I'd feel great about my ownership. I'd feel great about the fact that we could develop guys that other teams didn't want. The Heat can do things that other organizations simply don't do, they can't do. And so if I'm a Heat fan, I'm grateful. I'm fortunate because my team, regardless of who's its best player, is always relevant.
It's been a good run for Miami sports in general.
Stu, to that point, though, I think this season cements Spo's legacy, I think, more than any other season. Because when you look at it, he took these guys to another finals, right? It was a core that was good enough to be the 1 seed in the finals a couple of years ago, and now as an 8 seed, they're able to reach these heights because of Spo. I think
I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but the NBA has just always been so all or nothing that we always forget how good Spo is, no matter the runs. Like, he's already done this
he has
once.
no coach of the years. Zero.
No coach of the years. We'll always forget.
Regular season award.
While I think that this has an opportunity to be a super memorable runner-up just because they're an 18 and a legitimate one and been counted out by even the most passionate of Heat fans, i.e. me, I think we forget all about it if they start struggling the way that they struggled this past regular season.
The conversation about like Miami, South Florida sports in general, we've heard you guys talk about a bunch, how great a year it's been for all of it. Maybe the best in history, even without any championships. Are we counting last year's Dolphins run, or is the coming Dolphins run going to lift?
2023, coming run.
So what we got expectations for the Dolphins?
Well, is Dalvin Cook on the Dolphins?
No.
Tua
is, though.
Tua is
but
healthy. He plays all 17 regular season
You're giving me
games.
17 Tua games?
I'm giving you 17 Tua games. Dick Fangio, Jalen Ramsey. We're looking at championship.
Forgot about Jalen Ramsey.
Forgot about Fangio.
Y'all got another top flight corner.
I have to say, as good of a year as it's been for Miami fans, it's been probably almost a better year to be a Miami hater, because we're about to go through this entire spring with all of these Miami teams, FAU, men's and women's college hoops, the baseball team, and the Heat and the Panthers.
No, I think the college baseball team.
College baseball team. We had Yo-Yo on our show.
Yeah, and
Great
he killed
kid.
it. He killed it.
Yeah.
Gino
Up
stepped
and
down.
down.
They might come out of this with 0 championships, 0 rings, 0 banners. I mean, I guess you get a Final Four banner.
Yeah,
but,
I can already see the BR graphic getting shared as if it's like a dunk on South Florida.
Wait, hold on. What's the graphic say? I'm gonna DM it to them. Real quick
Yeah,
just to remind them.
like I understand where you're coming from as a Miami hater, but they're doing this as like we're talking about Miami Hurricanes men's and women's basketball that was never expected to be in those positions. We're talking about the Miami Heat entering the postseason as an 8 seed. And the Florida Panthers entering as an 8 seed.
I love that as your rebuttal, because it's like we're talking about a bunch of teams that suck. Sucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they sucked, and then they sucked more.
But
they lost.
Like,
so.
who's gonna have a go? New York?
Me.
Who's gonna?
Me
Yeah.
personally.
It doesn't
Have
matter,
a go,
Mike.
Doesn't
Boston.
Matter. That's what
It doesn't matter, Mike. I'm with
Sixers
you.
fans.
I'm with you. Rationally, you're right. We overachieved and we did better than all of you other teams, so shut up. But it doesn't matter when you lose on the big stage and then do it again and again and again. You get roasted. it, and you kind of deserve it.
Can I counter with I was smart enough to have Inter Miami season tickets before all this started?
Damn it! Oh, you coming up? A lot of money going in your pocket. They were bad though, right?
Inter Miami's presently last in their
last
conference.
place, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're like a 3-game win streak away from being in the. There was an Inter Miami ticket program, by the way, that was like I guess their ticket master thing went down in the app for an extended period of time. So they were like, okay, if you can't make a game 4 times a year, you can kick those 2 tickets over to a future game. And I just started doing that to all games from late July and on. So now I have multiple tickets to messy games. I was thinking 3D chess right there.
You got sideline pull. Can you get down on the pitch? Is that kind of
I
pull
like
you got?
going to the games as a fan.
That's what you say when you don't got sideline pull, right?
I mean,
I can get
I'm
you
just
there.
a fan, yeah. I like to sit with the people.
Yeah.
I like to say irresponsible things from my seat and not be
A
held
club seat,
accountable
though.
for.
Not a regular seat, a club seat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't want to. You saw this at the American Century Championship last year at Tahoe. When Kyle Lowry walked past us,
Buns?
I was like, I'll get up and leave. I don't want to actually be held accountable for my takes because I speak as a fan. If I do
You've
what
been
Jeremy
drinking
does,
too, though. I mean,
yeah.
right.
Especially at Tahoe,
Right.
a lot of pink lemonade. Oh my gosh, I was torn up. Yeah, I just look. I what I give you, even though it's performative, is fan opinions.
Yeah.
For often worse than better, but I give you fan opinions, and that changes if I change that dynamic.
Yeah, it's turned up. It's the fan opinion on 11
No,
because
he's-
Mike lives on 12.
He's trying to do what the thing that we just talked about in the interview, which is the make some people like me again tour.
Yeah, man,
You on your Bill Barr show?
it's a big uphill battle for me because also generally I like being aligned. So, but it is a little frustrating that people conflate good things happening to my sports teams to me just being a terrible person. I didn't beat Boston.
It's just
My
a
team did.
coincidence.
I got to be honest.
Like, Boston could have beat us, and you would have never heard from me. But they didn't. They lost twice.
When the Messi news dropped, I was excited. Like I felt my heart rate increase. I was hyped for Mike Ryan, and it felt like my team had just won a championship, and I was really enjoying it. And then I went to Twitter, and Mike was just going all the way off. And then I started to hate that you had the Messi story.
Yeah,
You weren't alone, by the way.
This was true for thousands.
I was
for
like, get him.
thousands.
It was like, I'm a trash talker generally. I'm a cornerback. Like, I enjoy it. I was like, get him, Mike. Tell him. Okay, you told him. Stop telling him, Mike.
You had pre-produced video packages. What is this?
Mike,
Stop telling them.
Stop telling him, Mike. They know.